Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Writers Chat. We're so glad to have you with us today, whether you're right now with us in the community or if you are watching a replay. My name is Johnny Alexander. I'm joined by all of my co-hosts today, which is great. I think it's been a while since we've all been together. Melissa Stroh, Brandy Bro, and Norma Poor. And Norma is going to introduce our very special guest for us today.
Good morning. So glad to be back. I've missed a few weeks and oh man, I miss it when I'm not here. Today we have a very special guest, Patricia Durgin, and she's going to talk to us about lead magnets boost growth. And lead magnets are the unsung heroes of platform building. And today we're going to learn what to include in your lead magnets and why, with a special focus on your last page, the most important page in every lead magnet. Just to let you know a little bit about Patricia, she has served Christian writers and speakers as a marketing coach since 1999. Through project-based trainings, hands-on learning, her clients clarify their message and expand their audience. Patricia's a regular faculty at Christian conferences, teaching about all things related to platform growth. Her favorite topic, lead magnets. Patricia, it is my pleasure to introduce you and to have you with us. Take it away.
Thank you very, very much, Norma. We've known each other for years, and this is the closest we've met to seeing each other face to face. So it's a high honor. It's a high honor. Lead magnets are one of the most important marketing elements, and they're also sort of like a redheaded stepchild. If you remember that phrase back from when we were younger people, and I don't think it's politically correct now, but people sway from really of seeing their value and using them to being disgusted and nauseous when the topic comes up in a group of writers, because they don't see the value of it. They don't understand what's supposed to be included in it. What's the process here, and mainly what's the purpose. So hopefully some of those questions will be brought to light, answered in this very fun, to me, very fun workshop. I'm going to share my screen, then I'll come back, and then I'll share and come back. That's the way that I'm used to doing it. So let's get started. Oh, and I mentioned this earlier, but I'll mention it in the recording as well. I am very heavy on nonfiction. Christ has called me to serve nonfiction. A lot of the elements of marketing carry effortlessly over to fiction writers, but there are some areas that are vastly different. And I want to talk about that when we get there, because I need some fiction writers to cooperate and give me some feedback, and we'll see if we can make some progress for fiction writers, just like nonfiction writers. Okay. I appreciate that. Let's see. I do this all the time, and I consistently have problems sharing my screen. It's not supposed to be that way, but it is. Okay. Where am I, Father? I'm right here. I know this dashboard like the back of my hand. There we go. Thank you, Jesus.
Find
Here,
it. Okay.
we're rocking. We're rocking.
There we go.
Today, we're talking about a lead magnet content playbook. I'm just going to literally go through the playbook. It's also available as a slide deck in this same format and this same shape. So I'll give you that link at the very end if you'd like to have access to this to keep it for your reference in the future. So we're talking about what to include, not what they're about, their philosophical differences, is the Christian versus non-Christian, none of that stuff. Okay. We don't have time for those things. They're important, but not today. What to include in every lead magnet, and why do we have a lead magnet? Why do we need a lead magnet? Okay. This is a drum that I bang a lot. If you've ever heard me teach, I talk about it all the time in that lead magnet window. We want to grow our audience. Does anybody here want to grow your audience? Names, follows? Well, the way to do that, we have to grow beyond our inner circle, beyond the family and friends that we've had for all these years or decades. We have to actually intrigue people who are in our audience, our God-given audience, but they don't know that yet. They don't know that our writing, our message, which is really God's message coming through our words, we are representing Him to them and offering them wisdom, humor, insights, some result so that their life will be changed, even if it's just a small little area. We want to give them a win. You've heard that phrase whenever you've heard about marketing of any kind. We want to give them a win. Excuse me. So a lead magnet is supposed to be short, to the point, and beneficial. So this is sort of going to, just forgive me because I have to tell you what Christ has allowed me to learn about marketing. That means speaking the truth too. And a lot of fiction writers, not just them, but a lot of fiction writers create lead magnets that don't give the reader a result. Information is not enough. A pretty story is not enough. Bible devotions is not enough. It can be, it has to be shaped in a certain way. But some of the lead magnets that I've heard of, let me just give you an example. Everybody that everyone that I've ever been blessed to serve in this field for this purpose are Christian writers and speakers. So their heart is right there. They want to serve Jesus. They want to help their audience. They understand what's going on and what's at stake. And then they create a lead magnet if they can swallow the disgust that they feel when somebody brings up the topic. Then they create lead magnets that are valuable to them, but not to their reader. So here's an example. A lovely, lovely woman of God created a lead magnet on the 4 Hebrew names of God. And that's valuable to know. But a lead magnet's purpose is for us to solve one problem that our readers are having, or answer one question that they're asking. It's not what we want to tell them, it's what they want to hear from us. Okay, so you can see how we can get in a quagmire really quickly in any arena, but nonfiction is a little bit easier. We have a helmet on, if I can say it that way, of how to. We understand we're supposed to be helping people, and it's not just a made up message. That sounded unkind, and I apologize. That wasn't my intention. But fiction writers give us information and stories. Often any writer will give the first chapter for free. And that's not a bad strategy, but that's not a lead magnet. A lead magnet is something that's practical. Even though it's Christian based and it's Christ focused, it's still practical. It still helps our audience get to the next step or a little bit closer to the next step. And that's vastly different than what most Christian writers and speakers create when they create a lead magnet. We're looking for both practical, entertaining, if possible. It's not always possible to be entertaining. We can't tap dance and make cookies at the same time, or I can't. So we want to do something that draws our audience. And here's the challenge. The people that we want to reach don't yet know us. They don't yet know that our message is the very message that Christ wants them to have access to so that their lives will be improved or changed. So when we go online and we offer, I don't know, 3 steps to becoming an astronaut, okay, is that something that your audience might be interested in? If so, you might be on the right track. But 7 Hebrew names of God, my goal is not to make fun. It's just so obviously off to me because I've done this a long time, but that doesn't mean the person was wrong. She's a wonderful lady. I asked her as we were working together, do you think that your audience wakes up in the middle of the night, racked with challenges and confusion and fear, and thinks, if I only knew the 7 names of God in Hebrew, all my problems would go away? And then she was like, oh, no, I don't know. I don't think they do that. So we worked and rearranged it so that she had a lead magnet that was valuable to her audience, to people who don't yet know that her message is the one that God wants them to have, to access, to benefit from. So in order to do that, we can't go online or offline and proclaim what we want them to know. We have to go to the same places in the marketplace and give them information, inspiration, encouragement, fill in fill in the blank with what they're looking for. To see the vast difference in those two dynamics there. So if they're looking to lose weight, we wouldn't tell them, we wouldn't offer a lead magnet, about how to homeschool. That's just, that's an obvious disconnect. But often our lead magnet title or content is a disconnect to our audience because we're talking about something we want them to know. We know they need it. It's in our message. It's very important. But if they're not looking for it, they're going to pass right by it. So let's say that we've gotten their attention with a fantastic title and everything's wonderful. Now we have to help them go to the next step or answer a specific question or solve a specific problem or a part of one. Okay. Does anybody here do that? Do you address a specific problem or answer a specific question in your lead magnet for your readers? And we don't have to mention names. Just put it in the chat if you want to. Sal, okay, I just said your name. Oh, broke my own rule just like that. Sally says, I will now. It's very, very, very important. And I've got some examples. Yes, Tanya, this is an excellent point that there's a translation challenge because we really have to turn around our perspective. We're telling them what they need to know. And they're asking out in the wilderness, asking a question or looking for information, answers, and we're bouncing off. We're doing all the right things, but the way that we describe our title, our lead magnet bounces off of them because they're focused on X and we're offering them Y. So we have to go to them. We have to translate our benefit. And that's probably for another conversation. But right now, I want to give you the ingredients, the content, the things that need to be included in a lead magnet so that it looks as professional as possible. So let me go right
It kind
here.
of leads to the question of how do we figure out what our readers need to have solved?
That's definitely a question for another conversation. It's not an easy answer, but it's what I love to do. So y'all think about how you would want to address in some other way in the future, but it's really imperative. But Brandy, let me come back over here to you for just a second, because it's not impossible. I don't want to leave the, help me, Father. Thank you, Jesus. So we don't want it to be elusive. It doesn't have to be. There is that vast marketplace out in the wilderness. Where are people? I don't know. What do they look like? I don't know. What kind of questions are they asking? I don't know. What are they fearful of? I don't know. But really, I would just want to plant a seed deep in your heart that you do know, because you've already been through what they're going through now. And Christ delivered you. Now you have a message and you have proof that the message works. So when you were, again, this fits more in the nonfiction arena, but what have you gone through? It was a fantastic, unbelievable accomplishment. Was it a terrible, heart-wrenching problem? And it could have been years ago. It could have been, it's rarely going to be last week, because there has to be some history between that experience, positive or negative, and what you're trying to teach now, teach or share. What is your message content? So you tell me, not in the chat, keep it to yourself, but what was one of the constant challenges that you had before he delivered you? He does deliver us for our own sake. Just let that sink in for a second. But he also delivers us so that we can serve those people he's called us to serve. So we have a spiritual connection to them before we've ever met them. That's why we want to speak so clearly to them. So I don't want to beat a dead horse, but seven Hebrew names of, help me, Father. 7 names of God in Hebrew. Okay. If nobody's looking for that, it can be beautiful. It can be deep, intense, actual, factual. It can be unbelievable. but people are going to go right past it. When you go to the store and you're looking for mayonnaise, do you stop at the ice cream aisle? Well, don't answer that question. Secrets will remain secrets here. But when we're looking for mayonnaise, we go to the area where the mayonnaise is. So if your audience is filled with pain, let's say their husband left them yesterday, or their spouse left them yesterday, or in the last year, or in the last 10 years, because things linger, it doesn't have to be just yesterday. Pain doesn't occur just yesterday. Sadly, it carries with us. Often it travels with us. So how can we help if our audience is in pain? And that's the message that Christ has gifted us to deliver, how to this specific pain, Jesus Christ died for you to be free. So if this is where you are, you can be here. But they don't know how to find you, again, because they don't know you. So what are some of the questions or the challenges or the problems and that you have asked yourself, and that all through these years, as he has been shaping you and training you and loving on you and teaching you how to teach his message to other people? What do they say? What are the questions that they ask? And this is the content, and even more importantly, the title that we want, because that's going to attract the people that we're gifted to serve. If we are an emergency room physician, he's not going to send us somebody who needs help with a horse. Okay. He's going to send us people, and this is a Holy Spirit directed process. So we have to be available. We have to put our best foot forward and all the stuff, check all the boxes. But the goal is to serve them so that their life is better, so that they will turn to Jesus for the first time or the 27th time or maybe the last time. And they will have absolute assurance that what they're looking for, he not only has, but he seeks ways to share it with them. Okay. So the question is a valid question. How do we know who they are? But we might not know who all those strangers are, but we know who all the people that we've talked, our own life experience, and it might have been fantastic. Did you did you climb Mount Kilimanjaro or do something that was just fabulous like that? You probably have people in your life, you run into them at the ballpark, at the airport, a stranger you never met in your life, and you have a 5-minute conversation. And how many times has this happened? They leave the conversation, it just comes to a natural conclusion, and you just know, Holy Spirit wanted me to meet that person. They were in pain, or they were confused, or they were scared, fill in the blank. And it doesn't have to, again, they might have been just about to get married, and they have all kinds of questions, and their excitement bubbles over and just seeps out of their skin. So it doesn't have to be negative, but it's something that you've experienced and he taught you through it. And this is not a one-time thing. This is consistently, because he's shaping us, teaching us, reshaping us, helping us understand our message, which is his message in us, even deeper, so that no matter where they are in the spectrum of our message, we can help them. That was a little bit long of an answer, Brandy.
That was good though. Thank you.
Great. All right, so let's go back to we haven't gotten off the cover yet. Oh, well. So this is a content playbook to help you with the lead magnet. We've already talked about that, so we're moving on. There are 8 pages here. I'll go through them really quickly and we'll come back. And I'm not going to read text to you, okay? Who's appreciative of that? There's page number 2, page number 3, page number 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the last one. Got some free resources for you if you'd like to take advantage of them. Okay, so why create a lead magnet? Because our audience is very, very hungry for our message, but they don't know that we're the ones that has that message. Or they know, but they haven't taken the plunge yet. And a lead magnet is between 1 and 10 pages long. It's not, oh my goodness, decades ago when I got into marketing at the Lord's direction, those were the days when you could sign up for somebody's lead magnet and get a 67-page ebook. And I got several of those and I was absolutely thrilled. But I wouldn't be thrilled today. We don't have to be worried about being we don't have to worry about, help me, Jesus, because I want to say something particular. Short doesn't have to be, let's say this differently. Brief doesn't have to be watered down. So that's why it's really important to choose one element you want to talk about or one sub element that you want to talk about. Okay. And only talk about it, Barb Haley, only talk about it in 1 to 10 pages. So a 1-page lead magnet is basically a checklist or a memory list or something that's very, very obviously very short. You can't go very deep on 1 page. So my lead magnets are more 8 to 10 pages, and I've got some introductory stuff that they can see that moves the conversation along. It's not there to brag on myself. It's to help them see, this is where I am. You know, when they open that up, oh, okay, this is where I am. I'm grounded now. This is what she's talking about. Yes, I'm still interested in that. I don't know. I think I'm going to read this. Now, let's say that they read that and they've never met you before, but your content was so on point. So on point. Because why? You may not know them, but you know what they've been struggling with or what they're working to accomplish. Because Christ sends us people who have similarities to our history. This is not an armchair quarterback process. So you know them and you create a piece of content, you give it a title, and they respond, they sign up, it's delivered, they get it. It's almost always in a PDF form. There are other ways that you can deliver a lead magnet. It can be a very short series of videos, all kinds of things, but we're specifically talking about a PDF for brevity. And then all of a sudden, they think, this lady really gets me. How did she know that about me? Well, the Holy Spirit tells us, not person per person, but group to group. Melissa says, I'd still be thrilled with a long lead magnet. It's not that you can't be, but we're talking about, let me address this really quickly and then I'll move on to the rest. But if it's too short, then you're going to lose them in the nonfiction field. Okay. Maybe I'm odd. No. Apart from being a fiction author, I'm also a historical fiction author. So research and lots of information is a big draw. Okay. I really want to talk to you about that because I got some great ideas there. Totally get why smaller, dense lead magnets are a draw today. Yes. Yes. It is the topic, historical regions. Yeah. Will you knock on my door in a little bit, Melissa, and mention that again, because I get sidetracked like a little bitty baby. Okay. I need help to stay in my lane. I get so excited about this because it can be the beginning of a changed life for you and your reader. When we obey Christ, he blesses us if we give our content away. He blesses us if we sell our content. Whatever it is that he wants, when we're in alignment with his will, we're right where we need to be. And when we're serving people who need what we have, that's going to make a difference in their life. He's going to bless us whether they ever buy anything from us or not. He's going to see that we are rewarded in a way that matters to us. So wonderful. He's so wonderful. Okay, I'm going to get excited here, even more excited if I'm not careful. Okay, we want to teach them the next step. This is really important. So this is not, because that's what we're talking about. Answer one question or solve one problem or get them to the next step regarding the problem that they have. And how do you know what that is? Because you've had that problem or a similar problem. And it's not just, you're definitely not just sharing your information. Well, that happened to me too, and this is what happened. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about guiding them, leading them, teaching them, ministering to them so that they can see him as their ultimate answer. So we want it to be short and very valuable. And this is a process. This is typically not, okay, well, I'm just going to do that tomorrow. It can be done, but typically that's not the way it works. So if that's not the way it works for you, then don't feel bad about it. Keep trying. It's very important that you keep trying, because that is like a first date. A lead magnet is like a digital first date. you're making your a snippet of your message available to somebody who wants it, and they sign up for it. Now you have the responsibility and the honor of regularly serving them via email. Email is the most effective method of marketing your book or your message or your movie or fill in the blank. Even ads, paid ads aren't as effective as email, because a paid ad goes out into the world, and somebody in Africa might see it, somebody in prison might see it. But if it's email, you have a direct line to that person. And what was the instigator? The lead magnet. So now they'd have a little bit of your knowledge, a little bit of your sense of humor, your heart, the way that you express yourself, how effective your message is in that little bitty short PDF, and they want more. So they'll stick around, and then you serve them and serve them and serve them once a week or every other week based upon how Christ leads. And when the time comes that your book is ready, or your interview has been posted, or you're looking for opportunities to be interviewed on a podcast, this is the first group to go to. If you've served them well, they're your champions. Excuse me, they didn't grow up to be your champions. They didn't intend to be your champions, but you've served them so well, representing Christ so deeply, with such a sincerity, that they know they can trust you. And so that they're willing to put their name associated with yours in a public arena. Yes, Leslie, they're signing up for your message so you don't feel like you're harassing them. Yes, I have a lot to say about that, but I'm trying to watch my time. So I agree with you. Important point is I agree with you. Okay, so that's just the second page. So here's what we want. This is a guideline, a template. Use it, don't use it, change it to suit your purposes. Want on front cover that's really visually interesting. Need to have a great color photo or a great color image. Want it to have, the title needs to have a benefit-driven promise. And again, that's a little dicey sometimes, because it's a question of turning our minds and, what were we talking about? Translating what we know in a way that will be benefit driven. That's we don't have time to discuss that, but let me come over to you for a second. I've delivered over 4,000 trainings, and I rarely get tongue-tied. I have a lot to say, but I rarely get tongue-tied. And today I've been all over myself. Okay. Just ignore that. Because we have work to do. I'm trying to calm down because I get excited, and the next thing you know, the words start flowing, and they're all on top of each other. So I'm going to do my best in my spirit to calm down, calm my spirit, and say what we want to say.
People are wondering if you are going to make this document available after
Yes,
the
absolutely.
session.
I think I mentioned that, but if I
Wonderful.
didn't,
Thank you.
I should have. Yes.
Great, thanks.
Yes, this is the kind of thing that why just show it and then nobody has access to it anymore? That's ridiculous. So we definitely want to put the author's name and the website. And that seems so obvious, but really it's not obvious to everybody. This is the footer area, just like your website has a footer and so forth. And we want to put all of these elements: your name, the copyright year, not the date, the month and the day don't matter, but the year matters, the title of the lead magnet, your website URL. And if you can make that clickable, that's the ideal thing. And then whatever the page numbers are, put that on every lead magnet that you ever create, on every page. Excuse me, because somebody's going to drop those papers and try to get them back in order, and they're not going to be able to. It's going to be like a puzzle piece they can't create. So this is another way, that's an invisible way we can serve our audience. Give them all the information that they need to have if they want to get in touch with us further about anything, or if that's the very lead magnet, the skies part and the angels descend, and if that's the only best lead magnet they ever need and read, they have all the information about who you are. You've probably gotten free resources like lead magnets and other things that were fantastic But then later in 3 months or 6 months or 2 years, there was no information to track back. You pick it up and like, man, this stuff is great. But then there's no way to track back to where that author came from or what the website is. Okay. So this is another small way to serve, but it's a really important way to serve our audience. Remember to add white space. This is white space, empty space. Don't cram stuff together. We want to have visual breaks to the degree possible, and that's just similar to a dotted line or any number of different things that you can be if you're creative, you can be just wonderfully creative in a lead magnet. Don't cram it with text. It's not an ebook. It's supposed to be an easy 5-minute read. And it's supposed to help them move to the next step. It's not supposed to help them save the world because that's going to take more than one step, right? You agree? My audience is wonderful, but they can't save the world in one step. They're going to need at least 2. Okay. The last page needs to have specific content. This should be the content of your lead magnet should be on the next to the last page. That's where we want the content to end on the next to the last page, because we have a job for the last page to do in just a minute. We're not there yet. You can read this at a glance. It's really quick. I'll pause there for just a second. A lead magnet doesn't have to end your conversation with your new subscriber. You can have multiple lead magnets. Many people who are advanced, well advanced, they have many for the specific occasion. I'm watching the clock, so I'm not going through all of this, but here's the information I was just sharing with you, what to write about. Let's look down here. Answer a single question, solve a single problem, help your audience move one step closer to their goal. Is their goal healing? Is it retiring tomorrow or in a year? Is it to homeschool their children? Is it to find a facility for their ailing parent? We got all kinds of problems in our life, don't we? We just you and me, just within myself. There's so many different ways that I could be helped. And there's so many ways that the average person, we have questions. We're asking the Lord and we're praying about, how do I do this? And is this a better choice than that? We can help our audience without giving a big blog post, without creating a video series, without writing another book. Just a snippet will get them on the trail because it will connect them to you so they can continue following you on social media if that's what they choose to do, signing up for your lead magnet and then getting regular emails from you. So if that's what they choose to do, there are other options as well. This is a process of you connecting with them through that common thread, that common point. That's the connector. And then once that door is open and the connection is made, and it's not made because they know you because we're pretending that they're strangers. We have to move. Marketing has to go beyond our family and friends, or we're not going to grow. So we're talking we're talking to people who need what we have. It needs to be super clear. It needs to be short and helpful. That's for nonfiction again. And then we have a connection with them. And over weeks or months or years, how many people you probably have been on somebody's email list for maybe 12 years. And you know what to expect from that person. And you know what kind of challenges they have and what kind of challenges they can help you overcome. We know things, the pen pals from the way back, way back. Can you even imagine now thinking being a pen pal at that time? It was mesmerizing to me that I could talk to somebody and develop a relationship one letter at a time with somebody I would probably never meet this side of heaven, all in a different country. It could be right, in the next county, according to who you are and what the parameters are. This email is a form of that, so that we earn the right to connect with them and stay connected. And we continue helping them in small snippets. We create content for them. We let them know about books that we have found that really were helpful to us in our career. Something that we thought that they would really enjoy that has nothing to do with career. There's all different kinds of, if you were going to talk to your friend and you were interested in the same thing he or she was interested in, what kind of stuff would you offer? That really widens the spectrum, doesn't it? It doesn't have to just be that, here's what we're talking about, and we're never talking about anything but this. That gets boring. We've all we've all known people like that. Like, Mary, you're gonna have to stop talking all the time. I have to have a conversation with somebody else, even if it's just myself. We don't want to be boring. We want to be ourselves, though, be ourselves. And then they will stay. And when they stay, they'll learn a little bit more about how Jesus can deliver them, a little bit more about how we can help them, a little bit more about our book or our upcoming conference, or fill in the blank with what we have. We've earned the right at that point to let them know it's a two-way. It has always been a two-way conversation. We're not always cognizant of that when it's happening, but over time, we've earned the right to say, this is what I'm doing. Maybe you'd be interested in it. Here's the link. And nobody in that kind of a conversation is going to feel that they've been harassed or somebody's been pushing something on them. If you have helped me and helped me and helped me, and then you have some way that I could help you. Yeah. This is a real connection, even though it's digital. And we determine that connection by how we communicate, how much we help them, in what ways we help them, and then hopefully they'll respond. Most people don't respond to every email. It's highly unlikely. But when we need them, we've been there all this time for them. They'll show up. They'll show up. It's really wonderful. Okay.
We had a couple questions. Let me find it. I just lost my chat. One was about what kind of formatting you use or program you use to create your lead magnets. Yeah.
I'm so glad that you asked that question. Canva.
Okay, Kathy asked that. Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Canva.
Canva is free and it has some paid levels, but it's free to start with. And you can be indefinitely free. So it doesn't have to be like free for 20 days. So go to Canva, watch their training videos, join a group that's crazy about Canva. Probably Arthur groups are, because we create social media graphics and so forth. And there are people, and wherever you go, it's so permeated in our society now that wherever you go, you can find somebody who wants to talk about Canva. So to answer the question more specifically, it's an 8.5 by 11.
Yeah.
It can also go the other way. It can be landscape. It can be 11 by 8, like 11 by 8.5. It doesn't, all the pages doesn't need to be filled out. Remember, we need some white space so that we have a visual rest. The reader needs a visual rest. We've all seen posts and on social media and on blogs. It's just a chunk of text. I mean, it's just a wall of text. Well, I don't even bother. I'm out immediately. I'm out. Okay. I don't need you to sing and dance to me, but your message needs to be clear. I need you to walk me through the process and help me understand that I can do this. And how do you know that I can do this? Because Christ has shown you how to do it. And you're the one talking to me. Part of his master plan. Was there another question?
There was, it's a fiction question. So I don't know whether you want to do that now or hold that for a little bit later.
Just because of the way that my brain works, let's hold it for just a second,
Okay.
but I do want to come back to it.
All right.
Puppy dog attention span here. So information here, I'll let you read it when you get it. Here's an example that's not even active anymore. This is a page by page layout of a lead magnet from years ago. And I just wanted you to see, this is another example. So there's an image on the front cover. And here's the question. Is Facebook Live right for you? 10 questions to find out. Now, if you're not interested in Facebook Live, you're not going to get that. If you are interested and been wondering about, I don't know, dipping my toe in the water or not, I just don't know. You know how we waffle. Okay, then you would probably get that. And then there's information here, a little bit of information about the author, who is me. The 10 questions, that's the actual content that was promised. And then we have information here. And finally, the last page, which I had mentioned earlier, the last page needs to have a call to action on it. And I'm going to share something with you that will show you an example of that. So let's talk about this really quickly and we'll go to the fiction. I'm watching my time. We don't want people to stop with one lead magnet. We don't want to stop the conversation. Now, fessing up here, sometimes somebody has something that looks really juicy and I'll sign up for it and then I immediately unsubscribe because they didn't get my attention. I don't know them personally. I don't know their name or anything about them, but I liked what they were offering. And so I signed up for it long enough to get it, downloaded it, and I immediately unsubscribed. Okay, shame on me. But really? Did they hold my attention? Did they help me in some way that was practical? I would have stayed. Okay. But the last page that we want to use for our lead magnet, if we're wise, it doesn't have to be this way, but we're wise to use that very last page to help people see what else we have available. What's the next step that they might take? Is it to purchase a book? We could put an image of the book cover on that last, very, very last page with an active link to Amazon or wherever so that they can purchase it and tell them a little bit about it. Is it to sign up for your blog posts? Then there would be some kind of a visual and the link to sign up. But they've done this thing and they've gotten our free thing. Well, as a matter of fact, I have something else. Let me show you. We don't have to put our thumb in their back. We're just letting them know, actually, this isn't the entirety of my message. I could also tell you about this. Well, and then I could also tell you about that. Now, that doesn't happen all the time, day by day by day, because we'll wear them out in no time. We even wear ourselves out in that kind of a situation. But a marketing plan includes those kinds of aspects so that you start here with a lead magnet that's free and fantastic. And then you move on in that same lead magnet at the very last, on the very last page, you let them know about one other thing that you do. You have a podcast? Do you have an interview recording that you want to let them know about? It doesn't have to be anything for sale, but there's no shame in it being something for sale. Jesus knows that you need money to continue your ministry. So if he's given you a book idea, or he has shaped you into a professional speaker, he doesn't mind if you make money. I'll leave that there because I could preach on that. Okay, let's say were there one other thing? Yes. And then I'm going to let you look at this so we have time for questions. This is in the handout. And there are two free resources for you. One is the copy of the presentation slide deck. You can go to that website, that link right there. And I can put it in the chat. And then there's another one that I have, lead magnets. This one is more detailed. This is the one we just talked about. And we didn't cover everything in this one. And this is a simple checklist. So as you're making your lead magnet, you can go to that and reference it. Oh, no, I forgot to do that. Let me go and do that. And then you have a more professional lead magnet. So let me, may I have your permission, or be easier for somebody else to get those?
Yeah. I think I wrote them down. I don't want to get them wrong. So let me try and you can continue and then somebody double check me. Marketers on a mission, right?
Yes. And then / writers chat 1 and same duplicate lead magnet that's writers chat 2. So let me go here. There's for the first one.
Okay.
First one's good.
And there's
second one's good. Perfect. Thank you.
Not in order.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Do we have time we still have some time?
Yeah. Yeah. We have about 10 minutes. So
2 or 10?
10.
Okay, wonderful. We can get a lot done in 10 minutes. So let's talk about fiction lead magnets. This is one of my favorite things to do, even though it's not my not the core of my message. There are so many ways that we can create a lead magnet that's not an excerpt of a book. Leave that. That's a fine idea. Let's set that aside. We don't need to talk about that because you're familiar with it and you use it, or you've already made a decision not to use it. Let's talk about things that are a little bit more off the beaten path, but still applicable to your book. Whatever you want to talk about in your lead magnet, it absolutely must apply to your message and directly tie your message into the content of the lead magnet and what you're trying, what your audiences will want to know. So let's say that, let's say that you write a book, historical fiction set in the 1860s. Okay. Well, what if you went creative and instead of sending whatever you might send that might come to your mind, or in addition to that initial thought, what if you sent your created a lead magnet and or it's a double-sided bonus here, you could send an email, whichever one would fit this topic better. What if you created help me, Father, a recipe that was popular back then?
Mm.
And you made it and you created, you took a picture of it or you found it online or whatever, how you research and discover this information. How can you creatively offer something that every Joe Schmo isn't offering that would be applicable to both your message, your book, your topic, and your audience? Because if they're interested in historical fiction, then they're not looking for 10 ways to lose weight this weekend. They're looking for something that would be in that genre, right? And the story and the romance and any number of different things. So let's just think for just a second. In addition to a recipe from way back when, you could research and find out what kind of dresses the women wore around the house, or their Sunday garb, or how did they school their children? So when you start looking at it, it's an amazing well of information that you already have because you've researched your fiction or dystopian book. I'm not sure that I'm not sure you researched dystopian, but you have a bundle of knowledge. Make it creative. Pull a piece out, just a piece. And then when you're finished with that one and it's had its day in the sun, pull another piece out and create another lead magnet. And do this over and over and over. But you don't have to do it every day or every week or every month. But do try to not have the same old horse up there. Okay. Okay. Somebody else give me a little bit of information.
So Kathy said, as a Christian murder mystery writer, she struggles with what lead magnet to offer. She says she certainly doesn't want to do one on how to, I'll say, kill someone else.
Yeah,
Or like,
very
yeah,
well.
but not how to do that. She doesn't want to give advice on how to do that.
Very well. The opposite end of that spectrum would be how to maybe report a crime or how to survive if that has happened in your family, or what maybe you could do at church to help people or in the community to help people who fit that description. We could get more granular on that, but that's what's coming to my mind immediately. And also even something as simple as 3 points or 10 points or fill in the blank, how to help your teenage daughter or granddaughter protect herself.
Yeah. Or even yourself. I mean, like I've been on road trips lately, driving all by myself through country I don't know. And I'm not usually scared about doing that, but sometimes wouldn't. Here's the question I always have if anyone could do this. This is a little bit off topic. Is it better to put the do not disturb sign on your door, or better not to, so no one knows that room is occupied? So if anyone has the question to that, I would love to know the answer, because I debate that with myself every time when I'm by myself in a hotel room.
That could be a really fun lead magnet if you can
Right?
tie it into something in your message. Yeah.
Yeah.
The goal is to tie everything we do somehow. Sometimes it's a little ethereal, sometimes it's rock solid, and most of the time it's in between. What is it that you talk about in your message? What are the characters? Who are they? What made them the way that they are? What's their background? Were they harmed? Were they an astronaut? Or probably not in the 1860s, but what is it that they have that you can make interesting? It's from your message, but it's supporting your message and it's directly tied to that current book.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
We did, like, for murder mysteries, those even if they're not detectives, like they're an amateur detective, they usually have good observational skills. And so a good lead magnet might be how to develop your observational skills, because
yes,
right?
ding ding ding.
Because I know I am not situationally aware, and my sons-in-law love to tell me that, and they're right. So it's like, how do you become more situationally aware? Might be a great.
Do be careful on that term though, because most people are not probably going
Know
to
what
know what
that means.
situational aware is. But
Yeah.
that's a perfect example. Thank you very much, Johnny. Thank
Oh,
you.
you're welcome.
I'm glad that you're here today. Let's see. Sally says, I guess for my menopause book, I could give a list of treatments for those pesky systems. Oh, yes, so valuable. And let's pretend that you have 20, which is, probably not, but we're going into the future here. You could take 20 or 50 problems that you want to address, health issues that you want to address, but you don't have to put them all in the same lead magnet and drown your reader.
Right.
So space them out over one a quarter for a year, or do a Facebook Live a Facebook Live presentation where you're interviewing somebody who has these problems or has questions about it. Fill in the blank on that space there, and then answer what they're asking you. Or you could also post online if you have a private Facebook group, or if you want to, if the Lord leads you to create one, you could ask them their questions, and every one of their questions could be a social media post, a blog post, a lead magnet, potential lead magnet, because now we know exactly what they're asking, the words they're using to ask it. Okay.
Yeah.
It's really, we're overflowing with ideas, but we haven't been taught to recognize them for their value.
Mm, good.
Let's
Okay, we've got
see.
2 more quick questions. And I'm just going to ask you both because you might answer them together. Leslie wants to know if you use different emails for each lead magnet or funnel all magnet audiences to one email. And then Joyce says, how do we promote these lead magnets and let our readers know they are available? For example, if my book is due out in a couple of months, how do I advertise my lead magnet? So is there, can you address both of those?
Okay, so let's start at the second one, because
Okay.
it's really close to being late if you're fixing to launch your book. So that promotion needs to ramp up to the degree possible of your pocketbook, your time, your creativity skills. Get somebody to help you fill in the blank. But go ahead and start that process if he says to, and then post once, let's say every third day. And it can get closer as the launch gets if you want to, but there's a fine line, and the Holy Spirit knows exactly where it is, where we're obnoxious. We just stop talking to me. That's not, we don't want to cross that line, but often we're not seeing the other person on the other side of our computer. So we don't know sometimes where that is. If in doubt, go slow, but definitely get rolling on something like that to promote that. A paid ad is not a bad idea, but it's a long game. You have to have a paid ad for a long time, typically, to get real results. You can get one tomorrow, but you want real results, probably going to, invest time and money in that. And then if I remember correctly, the first question was about how email is delivered.
Let me go back. It's at about 11:44. And Leslie was asking, let me go back to that one about, I guess she's asking if you, no, I'm not finding it. I'm sorry,
I think
Leslie.
I remember it, Johnny. I think it was something to do with, do I use the same email for different reasons regarding lead magnets? So a lead
Yeah.
magnet is stored online. It's a digital product. It's free and it's stored online. And everybody who signs up for it, their first name and email address is whisked behind the scenes in a nanosecond. Nobody sees it happening, into what's called an email provider. If you don't have an email provider, it's very important to get one as Christ's guides. They are free up to a certain number of subscribers. But so look into that. Aweber, Constant Contact, MailChimp, there's tons of them. Okay. Just look up email providers in Google, and you'll just be inundated with options. I particularly like Aweber because I have found them through the years, and my clients have to be very newbie oriented. And here's the thing, last I checked, it's been a while, but you can pick up the phone and call them. Do you know anybody else you can do that for? But they store all of the emails for you. So if Joe Bob gets your lead magnet, he doesn't contact you. that form that everybody's used to, first name, email, that's a digital form. And behind the scenes, that's what that gathers the information, collects the information, and then it takes it over to your lead email provider, like Aweber, for an example. And then Aweber stores that information. When you get ready to send another email, you write it out and you upload it to your email provider and say, I want to send this to all of my subscribers, or I only want to send this to people who were at Writers Chat. That's, the content is specifically for that reason or that purpose or that experience. In this case, the source, which is Writers Chat. So, and then they get the email, but they don't get it from you. They get it, it arrives in their inbox from your email provider.
Right.
So if you don't have one yet, that's going to natural part of having a ministry. So, or a business. So you'll need one.
Yeah. And a lot of them are free.
Yeah, I've heard that they're really good too.
Yeah. Most of them I think are free up to like Patricia said, up to a certain amount, like 1,000 at least. So, it's a way to get in, get used to the program and play around
And
with it.
if you try it and you don't like it, maybe that particular one doesn't float your boat. That doesn't mean you can't do it.
Yeah.
That just means maybe you need to try another one. And
I
since the
know.
other one is free too, just go there and, do practice stuff and see which one you like the best and drop the other one. This is very normal part of their business. So you're not going to hurt their feelings.
My question with that, Patricia, was if somebody's sending you a specific question within your lead magnet, though, and you want to be able to respond, that was another purpose of, do you have a separate email that, because otherwise you're going to be getting a lot of emails from people, and I understand about shifting it all to the email provider. But if somebody's sending you a specific question, you want to answer that person, you see that in your email provider then, and then respond from there.
So if I'm understanding, who's speaking to me, please?
Leslie.
Okay. Thank you, Leslie. If I'm understanding your question, then a reader responds to the email that your email provider just sent them. So Joe Bob loved what you had to say, or he couldn't stand what you had to say, and he wants to respond. And so when he clicks that, there's a link to your given assigned email address, and you upload that to your email provider when you set your account up. And then they forward that email. But as your question is, which of your many emails, if you have more than one, do you respond from? And I used to respond to a different one than I currently did. And I felt that was better for me. But I noticed through the years, it's better for my reader to respond from the email provider that they got all of my information from, because it says pd@marketersonamission.com. So that makes sense to them. They know they just talked to me, or they just saw me on an interview, or fill in the blank. They just got the lead magnet. It's not going to Susie Q at HYZ. Like, who's Susie Q? And they're going to think that you're ignoring them when actually you're trying to serve them, but we didn't think it through. I didn't do that for many years. And that's the way I do it now. I send from my business address, email address.
Patricia, just to clarify, when you say email provider, you're meaning a newsletter provider?
You can use an email provider for regular emails that you send out every week, for notifications of an upcoming Writers Chat, for a weekly newsletter, anything that you want a third party, because you're sending out, Lord willing, more than one, more than three, more than 10. There's no way that we can maintain that and grow if we try to do all of that communication through our laptop. It will frustrate our readers and it'll make us insane. We're much better off, and it's the wisest thing to do, to get somebody who can handle all of that for you. And
yeah, I was just trying to separate between email provider, as in like a personal email like Gmail or like my name, versus a newsletter provider that has the capacity to send out a mass amount of email.
Yes.
That just went, because I think there was a little
the same thing. That's not helping with clarity. But
okay, gotcha. Thanks.
But keep in mind, if you just you have your own email address and you just copy paste a bunch of emails into that and send that out, that's considered spam and it's actually illegal. So you need a newsletter provider or email.
And emails, it doesn't just affect the emails that you sent today, if that was the case. It affects future emails because those bounce backs and those spam reports are tallied up. They keep up with them. The powers that be keep up with them. So you're creating a problem for yourself, even though it seems like a shortcut. In the long run, it's going to be a nightmare.
No, no.
Let me show you this last page one more time.
Okay.
Let's see. Here we go. Thank you, Father. So here, both of these are free. Here is the slide deck / PDF that we've looked at today. That's marketersonamission.com/writers-chat1. And then the second free resource is that really simple checklist that will help you make sure you've covered all your bases. And that's marketersonamission.com/writers-chat-2.
All right. Thank you, Patricia, so much. This has been very helpful because we know we need to be sending out newsletters. We know we need to be doing that. We need to be growing our own email list, and having a lead magnet is, the best practice for growing that list. So, we're going to go ahead and close the recording, but you're welcome to stay on, and Patricia, you too, for our after party for as long as you're able, for any other questions to be answered. Next week, Norma and I are going to be joined by Catherine Hutchinson Hayes, who has been on here before. She podcasts with the Murder, Mayhem, and Morality podcast, I believe is the name. I got that name right. And she's going to be with us. And Beth Gooch, who's the director of the Mid-South Christian Writers Conference, is going to be with us because they were also in Italy with Norma and me. And we're just going to kind of have a free-for-all talking about the retreat and some of the things we did and some of the things we learned. If you remember, we did that last year after the Italy retreat. So we're doing that again this year. So that's next week. So we invite you to come for a very informal writers chat as we just chat about that conference. And if you're watching the replay, we do invite you to check out our Writers Chat Facebook page, to join our Writers Chat Facebook group, and to be here live with us every Tuesday morning, 11 o'clock Eastern, 10 o'clock Central, and you can go around the globe to find your time zone. Until then, until next week, thanks everybody. Thanks for being here. Bye-bye.